Okay, now we're going to get to the judgment that we left off with last time. But with everything going on, I decided to do a little review of the seals. Now, I told you in the beginning when we got to the first seal and so on, the so-called four horsemen of the apocalypse, the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, and the pale green horse, that all of those have been activated before even our lifetime. And even number 5 with the souls under the altar having been killed in their witness for Yeshua, that one is also of long standing. And we saw in Revelation where God is going to get revenge for them. But let's go to these four horsemen. The first white horse, that one is for deception, to go out to deceive the world. And boy, is it get, what's it's going on here? Alberta? Oh, that's a Florida call. Sorry. Shalom. All right, excuse me. I thought I had the phone off the hook, but it's good I had it for the call. Okay, deception. The white guy on the white horse goes out to deceive the world. And boy, is it obvious today. Now I want to talk about spiritual deception and then political deception, because they're somewhat intertwined. Now, spiritual deception, you know that a few years back, we had two APMF leaders that read some book about a guy and they decided to deny Yeshua and so on. Well, both of them are dead. But one of the adherents is still alive. And many of you from Baguio will know who she is. Nene Bowman, and she decided that maybe Yeshua is not the Messiah, and so she's with a group called the Sinai or the Sinai group, and so they're just studying the 5 books. That's all, and doing their stuff. I feel very sorry because it's so foolish. It's a disaster. It's suicide to deny Yeshua. But anyway, that's what they've been deceived to do. And then there was a guy in Singapore who, way back in 2002, invited me to come to Singapore to teach about the messianic roots of the faith. And with his, he was a pastor, and he had about 40 other pastors that were quite interested. So they were there for this seminar that I had for several days. And that time I was teaching the Hayasod. Some of you know the Hayasod program that we used way back in the early 2000s. So anyway, we did that, but all of them agreed, well, that's the way to go. But if we go messianic and go to Shabbat, we'll lose our jobs. They'll throw us out of our churches. Well, you know, that's not a very good conviction and not a very good reason. So spiritual deception because of retirement, so on. Well, anyway, this guy went ahead and started a congregation, and later on, after a few years, they came to Baguio for one of our conferences. I think it was probably the second, maybe the third one. And they had a delegation from Singapore, must have been about 15 or 20 Singapore people in the congregation. And they gave testimony that when we were first there, uh, they were eating all kind of stuff. They were, I'm going to have a cough drop. They're eating all kind of squid and shark and all that, but they wanted me to know that now they are eating kosher. Okay, the whole group went kosher. And then after a couple of years, they asked me to organize a tour to Israel. Okay, which I did. And so they must have had about 35 or 40 people. And they went to Israel and they took me along as the organizer and tour guide. And they wanted to visit a genuine Messianic congregation in Israel. And I told them there are none. There's no congregation that's going to be genuine Messianic because all of them are church on Saturday. They're known as evangelicals. So it's pitiful. So they are quite discouraged. So before long, we find out that they had already denied Yeshua. Here they had come along so far, and now they denied Yeshua. They went to the synagogue, and now they consider themselves Noahide. Now, if you've heard about Noahide, it's a total deception that rabbis of the Jewish do not want the Gentiles to come in. And so they manufactured this Noahide thing from back in Genesis 9 that if you keep these 7 or 8 things, then that's good enough for you as a Gentile. We Jews, we have to keep more. Well, that's a total deception also. Spiritual deception is all over the place. Now, just recently, and I'm going to start sucking on a cough drop, one of our friends that is in a church in Gainesville,